My flight is in 6 hours. My lover is taking me to the Maldives for a month-long Valentine's getaway, she said and walked out, dragging her Louis Vuitton across the hardwood like she was walking a damn runway. That was the moment the last thread inside me snapped. I stood in the hallway, barefoot, towel still around my waist, hair dripping from the shower. She didn't even flinch. Didn't look back. Just strutted away like I was an afterthought, like I was the unpaid help she didn't even have the decency to tip. Her name's Vanessa, by the way. Blonde bombshell type, but with a soul like used sandpaper. We'd been married 7 years. 7 whole years. Through my layoff, my dad's cancer, through me building my startup from nothing into a 7-figure machine. She was there, but looking back, not really with me. Just around me. As the front door clicked shut behind her, my mom stepped out from the kitchen, holding her tea like it was a shield. She didn't look shocked. Didn't even look upset. Just tired. She's been cheating for over a year, Eric, she said. I didn't say anything because, well, I figured you already knew. And frankly, you never measured up to what she wanted. I told her I'd keep quiet. I didn't want to see you crash again. I didn't answer. Couldn't. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because my mouth stopped working. Like betrayal had hit the kill switch on basic motor functions. I didn't ask my mom for details. I didn't have to. The little signs, all those red flags I'd stuffed into mental drawers over the past year, came flooding out. Her sudden obsession with Pilates at 8 p.m., the hotel perfume lingering on her coat, the mysterious corporate retreats that conveniently landed near Valentine's, New Year's, and our anniversary. The way she flinched when I touched her shoulder. Like my skin was poison. Her phone had started living face down. She'd changed her passcode because of work stuff. She was constantly texting, giggling sometimes, and if I walked into the room, she'd shut the screen like she'd just committed a war crime. I chalked it up to distance. Stress. Growing pains. I trusted her. God, what a joke. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. Instead, I walked into our bedroom, our shared sanctuary, or so I thought, and began packing her things into garbage bags. Everything. All her designer heels, the drawer of overpriced lingerie I now knew wasn't for me, even the diamond earrings I got her for our last anniversary. I dropped them all into black plastic like they were trash. Because they were. She was trash. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I logged into our shared bank account, the one I'd funded entirely for the past 5 years, and transferred every last cent into a new private account. Every last cent. Then I left her a note. One single red rose on the bed, next to a card. Inside it, I wrote, "This is the last thing you'll ever get from me without asking your new boyfriend to pay for it. Enjoy your trip." And I waited. Waited 6 hours and 22 minutes until I saw her Uber pull back into the driveway. Vanessa burst into the bedroom, still tanned, glowing, dripping with luxury island sweat, dragging in sand on her Louis Vuitton, and saw the rose. She broke instantly. Not even a second of hesitation. Her knees hit the floor like someone had cut the strings on a puppet. "Don't throw me out on the street," she pleaded sweetly, crocodile tears already rolling down her face. I didn't answer. Just picked up the card and said, without blinking, "You haven't checked your bank account yet, have you?" She froze. And that's when I realized I didn't lose her. She lost me. What she didn't know yet was that this was just the beginning. Because revenge, real revenge, isn't loud. It's cold. Calculated. And this little Valentine's surprise? She didn't move. Vanessa stood in the doorway, still wearing that smug little silk top tied in the middle, her stomach tan, her lips sunburned, and her eyes darting to the card I just picked up like it was a live grenade. Her wheeled suitcase tipped sideways behind her with a thud. "You're bluffing," she said finally, but her voice cracked. I tossed the card onto the bed like it meant nothing, because it didn't. "Not anymore. I guess your little island gigolo doesn't pay that well, huh?" I muttered. She rushed to the nightstand where she usually kept her phone charging. "Gone. I took it days ago." She spun toward me, breath heaving. "Where is it?" "Probably somewhere at the bottom of the recycling bin with your dignity," I said without raising my voice. Her face contorted. That perfect little Barbie face, usually so smug and in control, now looked like a glitching robot. "You don't get to do this, Eric," she screamed. "You don't get to ruin my life because you're bitter and boring." There it was. The real her. Unfiltered. I stepped closer. Calm. Too calm, maybe. "You think I'm bitter because I didn't take you to the Maldives? Because I worked 80 hours a week building something while you were out getting intimate with someone who can't spell commitment? I'm bitter because I chose you, Vanessa. I gave you everything. And you gave me a damn sitcom storyline in return. She dropped onto the bed and started to sob, hands in her hair, rocking like a child who just realized the toy store is closed forever. I was lonely, she whispered. You were greedy. There was silence then. A thick one. Like the air had turned solid between us. You don't understand what it's like to be with someone who never sees you, she said. You're always working, always busy, always planning. I wanted to feel wanted. He made me feel alive. I leaned on the doorframe and stared at her like she was a stranger who'd broken into my home. His name? I asked. She looked up, mascara smeared. Why do you care? Because I want to know the name of the man who's going to pay your rent next month. Her lips quivered. Don't do this, please. I messed up. I get it. But don't throw me away. I actually laughed. Cold and sharp. Throw you away? Vanessa, you threw me away the second you gave him your body, your time, your lies. And now you want sympathy because you finally ran out of lifeboats. She tried one last trick, the old smile. The innocent, but baby smile that used to get her out of parking tickets, arguments, and any shred of accountability. I still love you, she whispered. That broke me more than anything. Because it wasn't love. It never had been. You love what I gave you, I said. You never loved me. And I turned to leave. But she didn't let me go so easily. She leapt from the bed, grabbed my arm, and snarled, You think you're strong now? You think this makes you some kind of hero? You're just a man who got played, and now you're trying to act tough because you finally woke up. I shook her off. No, Vanessa, I said, walking away. I'm a man who's finally wide awake, and I've never seen things so clearly. And as I shut the door behind me, I heard her scream. But this time, it didn't hurt. It felt like freedom. You'd think that after something like that, I collapse on the couch with a bottle of whiskey, go full cliché, man broken, glass shattering, music playing. But nah, I cleaned. Like, deep cleaned. Scrubbed every inch of that damn house. Not because it needed it, but because I needed it. Every drawer I emptied felt like I was peeling her claws out of my life. Every makeup stain on the mirror, every perfume-soaked blouse tossed in the trash was one less reminder that I'd been sleeping beside a storm in silk. I found her stash of keepsakes too, little love notes. But not from me. These were new. Folded like tiny time bombs, tucked inside her jewelry box, in the pages of a fitness magazine, even one inside a fake makeup palette. All from him. His name was Derek. Derek with the fake deep quotes and the you make me feel like I've finally found home lines. He was one of those guys. The kind who says, babe, and wears beaded bracelets like he's spiritually advanced because he once did a juice cleanse. One note hit hard. Counting down the days until we're free of your sad little husband. Can't wait to feel your body again. Maldives will be our first real taste of forever. Sad little husband. I stared at that line longer than I should have. Not because it hurt. I was already way past that. But because it was so accurate in how she saw me. Just a stepping stone. A wallet with a heartbeat. It made me wonder how many times I'd been laughed at behind closed doors. How many girls' nights were actually love-ins with Derek the discount Buddha? I went full detective. Not because I wanted to win, but because I wanted to see everything clearly before I burned it all to the ground. Emails. Hotel receipts. A second phone bill I'd been paying without realizing. Pictures, too many to count. Some from our bed. Some from his. Some with timestamps that lined up with nights she'd called me boring and gone to meditation class. The lies weren't occasional. They were her lifestyle. My favorite find? A calendar reminder on her iPad. Remember to fake tears when talking about mom's illness. Eric's paying for the flight. It wasn't just betrayal. It was strategy. She planned this life, this double life, like a campaign. The worst part? I started remembering the moments where I could have caught her. Where I almost did. That weekend in Aspen where she said she got food poisoning. Turns out Derek had flown in for a surprise. They posted matching photos, tagged in different places but with the same sunset behind them. That dinner with her cousin from Denver? I'd offered to come. She laughed and said, Don't be clingy. God, I was blind. Or maybe I just didn't want to believe that someone could smile at me that way while already handing her heart to someone else. Or whatever rotten piece of it she had left. And you know what? That realization was the moment I stopped being the victim. This wasn't some movie where I wallow and wait to be rescued by fate. This was a war. And I was about to take back everything she stole, piece by piece. But I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry. No. I was going to play the game better than she ever did. And the first move? making sure the next time she tried to use my name to unlock a card, access an account, or get sympathy from a friend, she'd find nothing. Because Eric Harris was dead. But the man standing in his place was done being her punching bag. I didn't tell her right away. No angry text, no middle-of-the-night voicemail. No, I let her live in the illusion. Let her think she still had options. That maybe she could spin this, gaslight her way back into my wallet, maybe even my bed. Instead, I changed the locks the day after she got back. When Vanessa stormed up to the front door with a grocery bag and a smug little smirk like she was doing me a favor by returning, her key didn't work. I watched from the upstairs window as she twisted it, cursed, tried again. Then she rang the bell like she owned the place. I opened the door slowly, holding a mug of coffee, deadpan. Forgot your new address? Her jaw dropped. What the hell, Eric? This is my house. Nope, I said, leaning against the doorframe. It's the house I bought, I furnished, and I paid for while you were playing footsie with your yoga guru. Her face flushed with anger, but she covered it fast, that manipulative switch flipping as fast as ever. Baby, come on. We've both made mistakes. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. Oh? Did I accidentally forget who I was married to and climb into someone else's bed? Must have slipped my mind. She looked around, probably realizing the neighbors could hear. Her voice dropped into that sugary venom tone she used when she wanted something. I know you're hurt, but we can fix this. I still love you. I made a mistake. No, I cut her off. You made a lifestyle. Then I stepped back, reached into the drawer by the door, and pulled out the manila envelope I'd prepared. I held it out to her. What's this? She snapped. Proof that I'm not bluffing. Inside were copies of her messages, printouts of her emails, photos of her and Derek in our bedroom, even her little fake calendar entries. All time-stamped, all indexed, all neat. Her fingers trembled as she flipped through it. You spied on me? She hissed. No, I said. You documented your own betrayal. I just collected the files. She stood frozen. Then she laughed. Not a nervous giggle. A real, witchy, unhinged laugh. You think this is going to ruin me? Please. I've got friends in this city, Eric. You've got, what? Your code and your coffee? You're nothing without me. There it was. The real her again. Mask off. I didn't flinch. You're going to regret this, she spat. Already did, I said. 7 years too late. I started to close the door, but before I did, I added. Oh, and Vanessa? You might want to check your Instagram DMs. Derek's wife saw everything. Sent me a thank you message this morning. That one hit. She staggered back like I'd slapped her. Yeah, turns out Mr. Spirituality was also playing house on the side. With a wife and 2 kids in Oregon. Vanessa was his vacation from reality, just like I'd been hers. The panic in her eyes was priceless. I shut the door without another word. And for the first time in what felt like years, I actually breathed. Really breathed. The air was different. Cleaner. Like she'd taken all the poison with her. But I wasn't done yet. Because betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it rewires you. And I was only beginning to figure out how to use that power. Next stop? Burn every last bridge she thought she could crawl back across. The next phase was simple. Erase her. Digitally, financially, emotionally, like she never existed. First, I called my lawyer. Not some cheap legal aid fresh out of school. I called Clarence Monroe, the shark. The kind of man who made courtrooms go silent when he walked in. I'd helped his firm with back-end security work 2 years ago, and he owed me a favor. Within 2 hours, divorce papers were prepped, an emergency motion to freeze our joint assets was filed, and every legal line was drawn in thick black ink. Vanessa had no idea how fast I could move when I wasn't being manipulated. Next, I contacted my accountant and showed him everything, the gifts, the cash transfers, the vacations she charged to our shared life. That wasn't partnership. That was fraud. We compiled it all in a nice little portfolio labeled marital misappropriation. Then, the real fun. I deactivated her cards, the ones still linked to my business accounts, the gym membership she used for her post-meditation meetups, even the beauty box subscription she loved. I took back the Tesla, the apartment key to my downtown loft, and the health insurance she bragged about to her friends. She called 27 times in one day. I didn't answer once. Instead, I sent her one message. You can reach me through my attorney. His name's Clarence. He bites. She replied with a single text. You'll regret this. You always do. Oh, honey. I'd never been more sure of anything in my life. Now came the social side. You see, Vanessa prided herself on her image. She was that girl. The brunch selfie queen, the wife goals poster child with perfectly filtered sunsets and captions like, "Grateful for my king ring crown." All fake. So I posted one thing. Just one. A photo of the rose I left on the bed, next to the card. Captioned, "Roses are red, betrayal's a curse. Maldives looked fun, but karma's worse." I didn't tag her. I didn't need to. It exploded. Mutual friends messaged me within minutes. Some angry, some shocked. A few women actually thanked me for saying what most men don't. Turns out Vanessa wasn't just cheating on me, she was a professional manipulator. And I wasn't her first casualty. But I was going to be her last. Because I wasn't just exposing her. I was cutting her off from the empire she thought she was entitled to. Derek tried to reach out too, through a burner account. "Don't drag me into your drama, man." So I posted screenshots of his messages too, and tagged his wife. She messaged me personally. "Thank you for saving me 10 more years of lies. I filed today." That night, I sat on my balcony, whiskey in hand, city lights stretching in every direction, and let it all soak in. The silence. The clarity. The vengeance, not as fire, but as cold, meticulous precision. My therapist once told me the worst kind of pain is betrayal. Because it doesn't just hurt you, it makes you question your own judgment, your own worth. But right then, I didn't feel worthless. I felt reborn. Because this wasn't a breakdown. It was a breakthrough. And Vanessa? She was finally beginning to understand what it feels like when the game stopped working and the consequences come to collect. 3 days. That's how long the silence lasted before she showed up again, this time without the designer bags, the heels, or the attitude. Vanessa came in sweatpants and a wrinkled hoodie, her hair tied back like she'd aged 5 years in a weekend. I watched her from the security cam before I even opened the door. She looked nothing like the woman who had once strutted through my life with entitlement in every step. She looked desperate. I didn't say a word when I opened the door. Just leaned there, arms crossed, waiting. She didn't speak right away either. Her eyes scanned my face, searching for any softness, any sign that I'd fold. But that man was gone, buried under the weight of betrayal and set free by truth. "I lost my job," she finally whispered. I raised an eyebrow. I told my boss I needed time off. He found out about the Maldives trip, said I violated the contract, and the scandal didn't help. She was shaking, but I wasn't sure if it was cold or panic. Probably both. "I need help, Eric." There it was. The punchline to her entire act, the twist ending where the villain cries and hopes for a redemption arc. "You need money," I said flatly. She looked away. Guilty. Not sorry, just caught. "I need a place to stay. Just for a while. Until I figure it out." I almost laughed. But instead, I stepped aside, not to let her in, but to show her something. On the hallway table sat a check for $17. Just enough for a cab and a coffee. I picked it up and handed it to her. "You always like lattes," I said. "This one's on me. But that's all you're ever getting from me again." She blinked. Then the mask cracked. She dropped the pitiful act and turned venomous in seconds. "You're heartless," she hissed. "After everything we've been through? You'd leave me out in the cold like a damn dog." I stepped closer, calm and deliberate. "You remember when you said I never see you? That I'm always distracted, always busy." I said, "You were right. I didn't see who you really were until it was too late. But now I do." She stared, stunned. And then I gave her the final cut. "You're not out in the cold, Vanessa. You're just finally standing in the world you built without me." She opened her mouth, maybe to scream or sob. I don't know. I didn't give her the chance. I shut the door slowly, deliberately. This time, I didn't flinch. I stood there for a while, listening. No sobbing, no begging, just silence. And then, eventually, the sound of her footsteps fading. It was over. Really over. That night, I opened a folder on my computer I hadn't touched in months, a business idea I'd shelved back when she needed more attention. I dove into it like a man starved, coding, planning, building. Every keystroke felt like therapy. Every outline, a reminder that I wasn't just moving on, I was moving up. Because here's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just burn bridges. It clears the land so you can build something better. And for the first time in years, the only person I needed approval from was me. After Vanessa left that last time, I expected some sort of emotional hangover. That post-breakup emptiness people talk about, the one where you question if maybe you overreacted, If maybe you should have handled things with more grace or forgiveness. But there was none of that. Just clarity. Peace. The kind that comes when you finally stop swimming against the current and let the truth pull you forward instead of down. I didn't tell many people what happened. I didn't have to. The ones that mattered already knew. And the rest? Let them gossip. Let them invent their stories. I didn't owe anyone the truth but myself. The real shift came about a week later. I was sitting in my home office, working on the pitch deck for my new project, a digital platform for freelancers, something I'd been dreaming up long before Vanessa ever knew how to spell entrepreneur, when I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. I think we were both played. It was Derek's wife, Angela. We talked. Not out of revenge. Not to wallow. Just two people trying to make sense of the wreckage. Turns out Vanessa and Derek had been planning more than just vacations. They talked about moving in together, even starting a business. She told him I was the abusive one, that I had control issues, that she felt trapped. Angela said he played the same card with her. Same script. Same lines. It was sick, almost impressive, how perfectly they mirrored each other. We ended the conversation with a mutual agreement. We'd keep our distance but share anything that might help legally. No bitterness. No drama. Just facts. And with every new detail I learned, I felt lighter. The truth didn't weigh me down anymore. It was fuel. I poured all of it, the betrayal, the pain, the humiliating flashbacks of being lied to in my own home, into the launch of my platform. My brain was sharper. My focus relentless. The man who used to bend over backwards to make his wife happy had been replaced by a man who didn't bend for anyone anymore. One night, while reviewing some backend code around 1 a.m., I caught myself smiling. Not because of the progress, but because of how far I'd come. There was a time I thought loving someone meant sacrificing pieces of yourself, your time, your dreams, your good instincts. That if you just gave enough, they'd eventually see your worth. But that was a lie I told myself to justify staying comfortable. Vanessa wasn't just a cheating wife. She was a mirror held up to the part of me that was too afraid to walk away. The version of me that feared being alone more than being disrespected. And now, that version was gone. Vanessa tried calling again. Twice. Left a voicemail, crying. Something about eviction. About no one being there for her. I deleted it without listening to the whole thing. That wasn't my story anymore. She didn't deserve closure. Not because I was cruel, but because she burned the bridge with fireworks and gasoline. Some people don't get redemption. Some people only exist to teach you the cost of ignoring your own value. And I finally knew mine. As the beta for my app launched, I booked a trip. Not to the Maldives. Not to escape. But to celebrate. No drama. No lies. Just me, my passport, and the understanding that the worst thing that ever happened to me might have been the best thing too. Because from those ashes, something real was finally growing. The first morning of my solo trip, I woke up without checking my phone. No notifications. No passive-aggressive texts. No staged selfies waiting for approval. Just the sound of ocean waves outside the balcony and the quiet click of peace settling into my bones. I sat there with black coffee and no one to impress, no one to explain myself to. And that's when I realized I had never been more free in my life. Not even when I was single. Because back then, I was still searching. Chasing something, an idea of love, of success, of approval. But now I had clarity. Pain, when you survive it, doesn't just leave scars. It leaves maps. It shows you exactly where you ignored yourself, where you settled, where you tried to water dead soil out of fear of starting over. Vanessa wasn't a mistake. She was a lesson written in bold ink across the most formative years of my life. And I read every line now. See, people like her, the ones who lie with a smile, cheat without guilt, and gaslight you into doubting your own eyes, they don't just destroy relationships. They aim to destroy your perception. She made me question myself, subtly at first, then in waves. Made me think I was too needy when I noticed red flags. Too cold when I didn't react to her drama. Too suspicious when I asked simple questions. But in truth, I wasn't crazy. I was right. That still stings, I won't lie. Because it means I knew, deep down, I knew and stayed anyway. But that's over now. The day I got back from my trip, I mailed the final signed divorce papers. Not electronically. I printed them, held them, walked them to the mailbox like they were the last remnants of a fire finally put out. And when I dropped that envelope in, I felt like I'd just finished burying a ghost. Weeks passed. My app gained traction. I hired a small team. Investors started circling. Suddenly, my inbox wasn't filled with anxiety-inducing lies but opportunity. Momentum. One evening, I passed by the restaurant where Vanessa and I used to go every Valentine's. It was cheesy, overpriced, and she loved it. I used to book that table 2 months in advance just to see her fake surprise. But now, I walked by without a second glance. No ache. No anger. Just indifference. That's when I knew I'd truly moved on. And if you're reading this, if you're in the middle of your own heartbreak, your own betrayal, your own unraveling, hear this. You will survive. But more than that, you'll thrive. Because the worst pain doesn't destroy you. It refines you. It scrapes away everything that was fake, leaves only what's real. It forces you to stop giving love to people who treat it like loose change. So what did I learn? I learned that love without respect is manipulation. That loyalty without honesty is imprisonment. That forgiveness doesn't mean staying. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away without leaving a key under the mat. Vanessa taught me that. So if I ever see her again, and I probably will, one day, I won't flinch. I won't curse her or pity her. I'll just nod. Because thanks to her, I found the version of myself I was too scared to be. And that man? He doesn't chase ghosts anymore. He builds empires where the rubble used to be.